Welcome to our few moments together on the Parsha. I hope everyone is well and is doing everything we can to utilize this time away from Shul to prepare for the eventual coming back to Shul, the Mirz Hashem, as soon as possible. This week, had we been in Shul, we would be reading two Parshios, Parshas Tazria and Metzora, which the main topic of the two Parshios has to do with the disease known as Tzoras. We've had opportunity in the past to mention that Tzoras is not leprosy or Hansen's disease, but rather it's a physical manifestation of a spiritual malaise, as is explained by Rav Shamshon Raphael Hirsch. The malaise, of course, has to do with a number of different problems facing humanity, and the succumbing to the desire to commit sins which are really sins of ethical value. The Gemara in Erechin speaks about not only the evil of the mitzvah of Lashon Hara, but also of haughtiness and other personal foibles which unfortunately we sometimes have a hard time getting rid of. The Haftorah of Parshas Tazria-Metzora comes from Melachim Beis and talks about the miracles of Elisha. And the miracles of Elisha Hanavi, who was the Talmud of Eliyahu Hanavi, mainly speak about certain types of things that Elisha did that are outstanding as far as we're concerned, and we're going to visit them now. The Haftorah tells at the end of Metzora of 4 people that had tzaras, and the real story is the backstory behind this tzara. So let's take a look at what that backstory is. Elisha in Perek Daled, which is from the Haftorah of Tazria, the Elisha in Perek Daled, it tells us about the time that there was the wife of Ovadia, the Navi, and Ovadia was no longer alive, and she had nothing to eat for her family. And Elisha tells her to bring and ask friends for borrowing vessels. Borrow kalim, all types of kalim. Don't limit yourself. Bring in as big vessels as you possibly can. And you have a small jar of oil. I want you to close the door, go inside the room, close the door, and take that little bit of oil that you have in the vessel and pour. You're going to pour that. And the little tiny amount of oil that she had was poured out, and it filled up all the giant vessels, and there was enough oil for her to live the rest of her life in comfort. But did you notice that the Pasuk said that I want you to close the door, and then we're going to do this miracle? The next part of the Melachim Beis, which speaks about Elisha bringing back to life the son of the Isha Shunammite. So when he is advising Gehazi, and he tells Gehazi, his servant, I want you to go, take my stick, and do the things I've told you. Put the stick on his face and breathe into him and tell him, and this is going to bring about that the child will live, even though he was dead. So Gehazi goes and he does something that the Radak says, based on the Medrash, is totally against the concept of the miracles of Elisha. He makes fun of this concept. He walks around publicly, oh, look at this, I'm going to put the stick of the Navi on his face and on his eyes, and he's going to come back to life. Nobody really believes this. And in public, he goes and he says this. And ultimately, Elisha comes to the house of the Isha Shunammite, and he closes the door. He closes the door, and he goes in and breathes into the child, and the child comes back to life. Notice, when Elisha performed these miracles, he did it with the door closed. No one saw It was in private. When it says at the end of Parshas Metzora that there were 4 Metzoraim, 4 people with Tzoras, it was Gehazi and his children. Because Gehazi was not at all modest. He was not pitznius. And instead, he made fun in public of the miracles that Elisha was going to accomplish. In addition to other things that he did wrong, taking money that didn't belong to him and so on. But for our purposes, notice these 2 miracles mentioned in Perek Dalet and in Perek, at the end of Perek Dalet and Hey, it talks about the fact that Elisha did these 2 miracles behind closed doors. No one saw. It wasn't public. The great amount of growth, the amount of spirituality that was behind those closed doors brought about the survival of the wife of Ovadia and her children, and brought about the life of the son of the Isha Hashunamit. We too, we're behind closed doors. The tznius of our being alone, the modesty, is giving us the opportunity to break out of our inner selves and to become miraculously transformed. We have the ability behind closed doors to bring about great miracles, not in the front of everyone else, but behind closed doors. This particular Haftorah is giving us the message that we need at this time so badly. Many of us think that being alone is not a good thing for us. And in many ways, of course, it's not. But in some ways, being behind these closed doors gives us a great opportunity. We can be mitboded. We can be all alone and develop certain developed characteristics that until now was hidden from us and couldn't be accomplished. Here, now that we're alone, we have the opportunity to become more in tune with the intent and kavanah of davening. We have more opportunity to rethink our lifestyles. And if there's something that needs a little correction, the great opportunity to be alone and to work on it exists. We're not all going to transform ourselves completely, but there's no question that we can become a little bit better. Just a little tiny bit. One small little midah characteristic. One little bit of more kavanah to develop. Saying some things of the davening a little more carefully. Thinking to ourselves, when we come back to shul, we're going to be as holy in our davening as when we were alone. Not talking to anyone. Not conversing. Not being flippant about the kavanah and the intent of the beauty of davening. Being alone is a great thing. Elisha, when he was alone, performed great miracles. Now that we're alone, and b'tznius, we can grow too. The month of Iyar that we're celebrating on the Rosh Chodesh of Shabbos, the letters of which are Ani Hashem Rofecha. Hashem is the one that brings healing, not only to the individual, but to all of Klal Yisrael, to all the world. It's an opportunity to bring about that healing through our being alone and developing the great systems that we need in order to come back and get together with everybody in our Beis Mikdash Ma'at. And hopefully, when Mashiach will come, we'll go and take that Beis Mikdash Ma'at to Eretz Yisrael and we'll plant it in Yerushalayim, like the Gemara Megillah says. And we will be zoche to see the coming of that redemption speedily in our time. Have a wonderful Shabbos, a Chodesh Tov, a wonderful Rosh Chodesh, and a great opportunity for self-development. Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach. Chodesh Tov.